Every massive, world-changing company starts with just a powerful idea. But here's the thing. Turning that idea into a reality, well, that takes way more than just vision. It takes resources. It takes fuel. So where does that fuel come from? And maybe more importantly, what's the real cost of using it?
And that's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, having a revolutionary idea is one thing, but without the cash to hire people, to actually build the product, to get it out to customers, it's probably just going to stay an idea. So where does that critical funding come from?
Well, for the really ambitious startups, the ones that are aiming for that explosive, industry-defining scale, the answer often lies with two very specific types of financiers. You can almost think of them as the gatekeepers to world-changing growth.
All right, so let's meet them. On one side, you have venture capital firms, or VCs, and on the other, you've got angel investors. Now, they both write big checks, but trust me, they play the game in fundamentally different ways.
The biggest difference really comes down to one thing. Whose money are they investing? See, venture capital firms are these big institutions managing massive funds of other people's money. Angel investors, on the other hand, are individuals investing their own personal cash. And that single difference, it changes absolutely everything about how they operate. So let's break that down. So first up, venture capital. These are professional firms, right? They raise these huge pools of money from places like pension funds and university endowments. And their whole job is to find the next huge home run. And this is so key. VCs operate on what's called a power law model. They know most of their investments are going to fail. So they need one or two to become massive, 100-fold returns just to make the whole fund work. And that's exactly why they don't just write a check and walk away. They take a board seat, they offer strategic guidance, and they open up their network to make damn sure that rocket takes off.
Now, contrast that with angel investors. These are usually wealthy people, often successful entrepreneurs themselves, and they're investing their own money. It's their own skin in the game. Because of that, they often get involved way earlier, sometimes when a company is little more than a founder with a prototype. It's a huge personal risk, and their motivation isn't always just a financial return. A lot of times it's about mentorship, it's about giving back, and just being part of building something exciting and new. They're really betting on the person just as much as they're betting on the idea. Okay, so this kind of funding is incredibly powerful. It really is like strapping a rocket to your company. But here's the thing about rocket fuel. It's not free. There is a significant, truly company-altering price to pay for that kind of growth.
And this is where the story gets really, really interesting. Because accepting this kind of money is nothing like a bank loan. No way. It's a deal that fundamentally changes the founder's entire relationship with their own creation. The stakes just could not be higher.
So what does this trade-off actually look like in practice? Well, the costs are pretty substantial. First, you give up equity, a piece of your company. You're no longer the sole owner. You also give up a ton of control. Your new investors, they get board seats. They get veto rights over major decisions. And in return for their cash, the expectations are just immense. They don't want slow and steady growth. Remember that power law? They need massive returns, which puts you under this intense pressure to scale at lightning speed.
So, with all that pressure and all that capital, what does success actually look like? What's the best-case scenario on the other side of this high-stakes bargain? Well, let's look at a real-world giant, Tokopedia.
I just find the word choice here fascinating, instrumental. The funding wasn't just helpful, right? It wasn't just an added bonus. No, it was the essential ingredient that fueled this massive transformation. It's what separates a promising local company from a dominant regional titan.
Tokopedia's journey is the perfect playbook for this. It started out as a promising local e-commerce platform in Indonesia. Then, the rocket fuel arrived. Major VC funding from giants like SoftBank and Alibaba. And that capital allowed them to scale their tech, hire thousands of people, and expand their services until they became this dominant digital ecosystem across the entire region. This is the grand prize. This is what founders are chasing when they make that trade-off.
And all of this brings us right back to the central dilemma for every single founder. It forces them to answer a really fundamental question about what it is they truly want.
When you boil it all down, the deal is incredibly simple. You get the capital and the strategic guidance you need to pursue exponential growth. And in exchange, you give up a slice of ownership and a significant degree of control over your own creation. So, what this all really comes down to is a high-stakes bargain. It's a trade between maintaining absolute control over your original vision and getting the resources to make that vision bigger than you could ever achieve on your own. And the fascinating part is, there's no right answer here, only the one that aligns with the founder's ultimate goal.
And that leaves us with the ultimate question every ambitious entrepreneur has to answer for themselves. What's worth more? Being the king of a small kingdom you built and control completely, or being a wealthy lord in a sprawling empire that you helped build with others? The answer to that single question, well, that's what shapes our entire landscape of innovation.